Percent change. Here are our notes for it. And really, just like the name says, we're talking today about change. So you're going to see it and say it a lot. In your notes, you can see we've got percent change is the percent that a quantity changes. And here's the big phrase, from the original amount. So for us, every time we're going to write this down, I'm going to use my shorthand, percent change. To find the percent change, you're going to write the change over the original every time. I'll explain what that means when we get to a problem, but that is what you write down every time. Later on, when you get going, you can abbreviate it as C over O. But right now, I want you to write change over the original, because if we just write C and O, sometimes we'll remember what the C and the O is, but we don't remember what they stand for, so we can't remember how to solve it. We just know we need a C and an O. So write down change over original. So every time, this is your formula. Every problem you're going to write down change over the original. Now, like yesterday, we saw two of them. We had a percent increase, where, again, the word says it itself, it increases, like the population between company B and company A when they're projecting the population of that city. And then a percent decrease is where the original amount decreases or goes down, which we saw with our lab from 6.5 from yesterday, where the fish going through the dams decreased each time. Now, if they ask you to describe the change, that's what we're looking for. This phrase increase or the phrase decrease. Otherwise, every time it says, what's the percent change, we're going to go back up here and we're going to use this formula again. So every time we're going to write that on out. No matter how they ask it, you're going to find it. So when they say find the percent change, today, the first thing you write down in your notes, on your assignment will be the formula, where it is percent change, which is the change over the original. So if we were together in class, I'd make you say change, you'd say change, and then I'd say over original, and you'd repeat back original. Feel free to say it if you want to. Now, what we're talking about is the change from our numbers. What is the change from 40 over here to 50? How much is the difference between them? So again, if you needed to, you can. This work I don't need to see, but 40 minus 50 equals 10. And then over the original number, which is what they start with. It's usually the first number listed here. In this case, when they write it out this way, you're changing from 40, so that's the original. You take and divide that on out. So you grab a calculator, divide it on out, which is great, and then you get the answer 0.25, which is awesome, but we want to know what percent that is. In order to do that, the percent change, once again, move the decimal 2 times, so that means we have a 25% change. But now, tell me, describe the change. So go back up here again, where we were originally. If you start at 40 and you go to 50, is that an increase or decrease? Did you go up? An increase? Yes. Or the other option, a decrease, going down. That's it. Find the percent change, and off you go. Sometimes they're just going to give it to you plain and simple, just like this. Or they're just going to say, here's 2 numbers. So, once again, find the percent change. Every time you're going to write down percent change equals the change over, go ahead and say it, the original. Yes. Don't want to say it? You don't have to. But you do have to write that down. No, C and O will not work because you might forget what they stand for. Write out change, write out original. Every time, Mr. Walls, by golly, you are correct. Every time. So again, to find the change, what's the change between 57 and 65? What's the difference? Again, I don't need to see the work, but since I'm not there to help you out when you're watching the video, we're just subtracting those. Change is 8 over the original, which is 57. Yes, you must show me that work each time. And then from there, then grab a calculator and type it on in. Divide it on out and be very careful to put that top number in there. And then, oh my, sometimes they'll give that to you. So you have to follow what the book says. So in this case, I came out with this big, long decimal. So I'm just going to write down 5 decimal places. From there, follow the book, round wherever they tell you to round. So this is 14.035%. And for a lot of times, what you'll see, the book or the worksheet, what they'll do is they'll tell you just to round to the nearest percent. So again, rounding to the nearest percent just means taking a look here, and we're at 14. Look back 1. We're going to round up to 15 or stay at 14. And in this case, we're going to stay at 14%. And now describe it. In a sense, it's 2 labels. Let me move this so you can see it over there. What type of change is it? Once again, from 57, do we go up to 65 or down? Since it's up, it's an increase. There's your answer. All of this need to see every time: the formula, the work, your answer, the label with a percent sign, and also the label of increase or decrease. Each time, no matter how they ask. Sometimes they ask it this way. All right, fine. Find the percent change. You know how to do that. We already talked about it. Write out the formula. Percent change. How do we find the percent change? If we're finding the percent change, what word goes on top? Again, you are welcome to say change there. If you didn't, that is A-OK. But if we were in class, I'd make you say that, because when you've got change to find, percent change, you put the change on the top over the original. And then once again, find the change. What's the change between these numbers? What's the difference between 20 and 12? Subtract them on out, and you get 8. And again, be very careful to use the correct original number. Here's a nice phrase. It actually told us the original was 20. No guessing. You know right away. So you've got that. Formula, yes. Work, yes. So divide it on out. Now that gives you the answer 0.4. I'd like to see this work. This part I'm not going to probably require working, but anyways, just show it anyways in case I change my mind in person. So show me this work anyways. That's how you get this answer. And then again, that's not your final answer. What percent is 0.4? Remember, we covered a bunch of times. Move the decimal 2 times. So that is 40%. And now, again, what's the label? 40%, yes. But now going back up here, did we go from 20 up or down to 12? You were welcome to say down there if you wanted to. If you didn't, that's fine. Since you went down, it's a decrease. No, you cannot just put the letter D. You must put down the word decrease. If you're not sure how to spell it, you can look here in your notes. You can look on the instructions because they will tell you there as well. So, again, formula. We talked about work, and also show me this work. So that way you're getting into that habit. You have muscle memory of how to change a decimal to a percent. So remember your answer is 40. Then you add the label percent and the label describing what type of percent change it is. Here they go, bar graph. What's the percent change? Oh my goodness, Mr. Walls, how do I find the percent change? Well, to find the percent change, yeah, that's right. You heard me say it at the beginning. I'm going to say it a lot. It's the change over the original. So, bar graph, 4 years, be very careful. We are concerned about 2010 and 2011. 2010 is 18. 2011 is 10. The change then being 8 divided by, that original. They don't say the word original. What comes first? Well, in this case, between 2010 and 2011, the first one, the original year, would be the 2010. So 18 goes on the bottom. Be very careful. You take 8 divided by 18. If you use a different number, you're going to get a different answer. You have to use the original number, the actual original. Oh, my goodness. Look at that. 0.4 repeating, which technically is not very helpful. So I'm going to rewrite that as 0.44444. If you get a long decimal, write down 5 decimal places. Change it to a percent. Again, move the decimal 2 times. a 1, a 2. So that gives you 44.444%. Round wherever they tell you. If it's to the nearest whole, then you start right here, take a look back, and that would be not rounding up. So 44%, and this one is a decrease. If they say round to the nearest tenth, that's fine. You can do that as well. Just slide everything over. So then you're looking at the nearest tenth. Look back one. So in this case, if it was the nearest tenth, then we'd be looking for 44.4 or 44.4% decrease. Whatever the instructions say, follow it. Nearest hundredth, great. Underline that second decimal place and on you go. Otherwise, that's all we're doing. Make sure you have that percent along with what type, increase or decrease.